is, wherever you are. Let's see. Where were we? We got these arrows to do something sort of useful. We got something on the range. There are no settings here. And we still have a bunch of parameters that need adjusting. Well, I probably need a mode that does low and mid separate. Now, I used to have the overlay mode for wiggle. I could probably pull that code back in. Well, it was kind of a pain because I was doing coordinates in multiple places. But it's either that or you have to draw that line in each song item. So there is a way to set all that. I mean, I don't know what's I don't know why I'm getting all stuffy right now. Maybe I should get a precautionary cold drop. Okay. So we've got settings for our start and end score level, or score limit, our mid-game score limit. Those are fuzzily settable right now. And then what we don't have any way to set are the high and low. Well, there could be a couple of things with the, which I'm not drawing right now at all. So low notes per second. Limit. So we need a setting for that. And then potentially 2 settings for high notes per second. Because we have the sort of start end level and the total top limit. So I think that this is pretty much copied from some other code. Probably not branch overrides. Support should be library stuff. This is global state that is not saved. So right now we have number of stages, start score, mid score. Actually, the defaults here should probably get reset. What are we sitting at now? Because this is a completely different thing. Start score, fine. This could go to 60 because we don't have the range. And I should probably rename that one. So that's going to be, I'm feeling that around 30. For 30%. Well, really that should be it's mostly speed wiggle. And then I guess the mins and maxes are just implemented in code. Okay. Okay, so that's the setting itself. And we've got I can pretty much do oops. And then we go back up here, lose that one. Nope. No, that's slow mode. Change tab to reload. Arithmetic on a nil value. Does this not handle properly? This setting does not exist case. Load. Get data. Set data. Is it just a table? Why do I even have get data setting? So why do we even have defaults then? Is that only if the settings file doesn't exist at all? No. Okay. It's got a nil value. Line 6. That has to be loading the... It has to be loading it. Oh, that's right. These scripts don't get reloaded. Okay, well, I can't escape, so we have to reload. Don't get reloaded until you do a, like, it's either a program load or a something. Or at least returning to the menu. No, I have to change tab again. Oh, turn off my sound just in time for a raid. Hello, the Rock Father. How's it going? I hope you're having a decent day. I'm having very interesting errors. Oh, this is branch overrides. A nil value. Did something else fail to load? It seems like something else failed to load to cause that to do that, but that means, was there a log file? There's definitely not here. This is 5.1. Program. Okay, so no, we have to go to settings. And I forget which one it's in. Uh, 2019. Or maybe there's a different thing for logs? Has no music. Well, I could probably actually just delete that. Which one was it? Group 3 got to have you. It's the wrong one? Yeah, that's right. Group 3. Yeah, that's what it looks like. However, what if on program exit does it write something? Aha! Maybe one of the things in the debug menu was a flush log. Okay, so that's saying nil. Loading scripts. Fallback. Config end expected to close function at line 20. What the heck? How? Oh, right. You're an OR, aren't you? So that should have already reset the log. Load file. Huh, it was showing 0 before. Okay, so that actually started. Yep. And there were no errors? Okay, cool. Alright, so that's just renaming it. Alright, or maybe I should just call it like variation or something. I kind of want something to give the variables useful names. What would I call it? No. What would I call it? Variation, wiggle, small scale variation? I mean, I guess this could be called percent wiggle. Yep. Is that how I'm using it? Zero to one, bounded by that with constant. 0 to 1. But that's within the... that might not be fully adjustable. We'll have to see. But it is a fraction. Well, I guess to really test this, I should try changing that setting and seeing if it sticks. And this is the thing where we have to reload the program when we change our setting names, because the files where it changed are only reloaded on startup. Oh, bootstrap. Well, if I get the regular reloading, I'll probably want to turn off some of the required bootstrap. Maybe a higher starting temperature. No, we lost that setting. Oh, and we actually want to go into here. And if we, it's slow mode. Okay. So that seems to be there. Commit update defaults and rename wiggle. Now what we need is the settings for our lowest speed and we probably need two things to specify the upper end. So we have slowest speed, and the numbers I was using, hard-coded. All right, so we we could actually start getting that up here. And it's just going to be a value. Slowest, fastest speed starting. And then we still want to split. So those are just constants right now. Where do those get set? NPS lower bound. Fastest speed starting is 2, and this is 10 by default, but could be turned down. So I think the lower bound is to allow for some of the wiggle. Slowest speed, fastest speed starting. Or I guess for start and mid. It'd be comparable to that. Or start fastest speed for full comparability. Okay, so that, well, I turned off drawing them. Okay, so that still seems to be reasonable to there. So that is pick. Okay, fine. Config. So we would do like yeah, that's just notes per second, so there's no I guess I was trying to make these settings reasonable at rest. Okay, so in theory, that will give us at least a default value. These do not need to be divided. So that much will work. You can't change them. Oh, right. We have to reload when you change the setting file. Should make a note of that for later. And then I want to shrink you again so it's more manageable. Okay. That looks a little odd. Probably have to reset that again. Alright, so everything loads with that in place. So, but to actually use these, maybe we check that in again. Define settings for NPS limits. I still want to see if I can like rethink all of this stuff to get a better solution, but this is what we've got right now. So pick. So this is going to be like a settings 1, settings 1 controls, settings 2 controls. Current controls, settings 1, settings 1, settings 2. This is our mode cycle. No, wait, this is what switches the function. Where do we change set controls? No, current controls goes default, goes to settings 1 goes to setting 2, else we go to default. So I really shouldn't have called these settings 1, settings 2, settings 3. Although in theory they could sort of change identity over time. So we've got default wiggle stages. So stages is one of the other big ones you'd want to get to. So I guess we could put it in as settings 3. Okay, so settings 1 have to be done in set controls. Languages, settings, shoot. We have 3 settings you can lead to it 2 at a time. Maybe we even do 1 at a time? And what I could even do then is have a left-right setting at every level. And then we could just put, sample music and view model as up-down options while we're doing some of those other things. So that would be, let's see, does stages and wiggle make sense? Well, what else are you going to put it with? And that actually does make sense for up and down. So if I named the settings after what they were, I would have to go around changing all of those names if I ever moved that. But then the names wouldn't be as tied to iteration order. And I think the language is going to be their full reload. So if we do well, maybe specifically for the help text. So the symbols change. You're still gonna have to reload it. And that's just default, which I guess default kind of makes sense. But right now that's wiggle stages. Then we would have lower limit. Well, yeah, wiggle stages. We would have lower limit. Yeah, settings 1, settings 2 is just getting me confused. And this is, right now, it's kind of just extras. Wiggle stages. What did I? Extras? Special? Special. All right, settings 1. Everywhere, settings 1. Confirm. We can do that with a different case. Sort of worked. All right, settings also be replace. Settings 2. Yes, 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 yes. Not yet. Yes, not yet. Yes. All right, now that's because we changed language strings, and well, we're going to add more language. We're just about to add more language strings. All right, so that gives us a base for this. So now we have. This is essentially making it like a menu with a whole bunch of settings, so what I kind of wanted to avoid, but I don't see a better way to do it right now. So this is the I guess defining the help text can actually be defined ahead of time if we know what we're doing. Settings. Oh no, that's the this button does settings. Okay, so we're back to here. So left, right. And up, down. Maybe for highest speed you could do both. But then you can't take care of both of these options and it doesn't help. Actually, we should probably work from here, so we've got our up and our down. So this is starting fastest speed and all right, so that defines the language strings, so we can restart. And those should be available to us. Turn off the music again. All right, so now in pick, help text, default help, wiggle stages. Slowest speed help text. Fastest speed help text. And do we use help text anywhere else? Or do we directly reference? Oh, we're controlling all the visibility for that stuff. And then that's it. All right, so will these wiggle stages, slowest speed, fastest speed needs to get turned off at all of our existing things. Okay, so that's all the help text. So let's see. So we're first doing da 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 da, and then using default last. So that would come in around here. I guess maybe not great to be defining the help text before we can actually do anything there, but it's a step. So false, false. So this is if wiggle stages. We are going. Oh no, this is set controls. This is saying if we are setting it to that, then we display this thing. So if we're setting to slowest speed, We are setting to fastest speed. So switch controls is what does that. So this goes default wiggle. I'll spec that. So you are actually going to go to slowest speed. Slowest is going to go to fastest, and fastest is going to go to special. We're going to be working here for a bit, so take off that startup training. Did that reload? Oh, no, we reset this, so we didn't actually reload. Okay, doesn't do anything, special modes. Okay, so the cycle works. Wiggle stages. Wiggle stages. This does all the visual overlays. Wiggle stages controls. So I'm just going to do something like this. Bump, wiggle, bump, wiggle. We currently have no additional function for you for up and down. So we're going to want something that's like bump, wiggle, bump stages. Bump, slowest speed. Bump flow. Also complicated. Bump stages, I guess. So having a limit would be good. So it might actually be closer to this. Speed. Actually, stages is my variable. So that's limited by your current stage. Right, so that's the max. So that is the lowest value it could go to, which I guess would be 0. And the highest value it could go to, I've never seen anything above 10 myself, but slowest speed. Slowest speed. Current flow, perform pick. Stages text set. Oh, there is a specific, this would be settings text, set text. I do have both of those. Slowest speed controls. Oh, this is by 1. We don't want to go by 1. Probably? I could definitely... Yeah, I've been thinking in like maybe 0.2s. That could be a little bit slow. Okay, right. Because we do not have a function to change to. Wait. That's increasing it? Oh, right, because this was... I copied stuff from stages? Oh, this is also doing D. Bump, slowest speed. Oh, wait, can you not put floating points in settings? That might just be a formatting issue. Okay. Now, if the way left-right is going up, we actually want to do this as minus and plus. And you know what? We've got some formatting we need to do here as well. Can we do 0.1? Okay, so that seems to be working. Now we just have to do controls. And I think I end up doing custom arrows for everyone so they can just be drawn where they need to be. Let's see, left, slowest, right, slowest. That is very similar to the conditions that we want to show the other one at. This one is not necessarily showing a range. Although this is going to end up controlling the visibility of NPS lower bound. If left arrow is visible and these things exist because they're a little bit special. Where is the condition for the thing we're replacing? There is no conditionality in this one. If arrow is visible, else show the flow range. Okay, so this actually is kind of different what we're doing. What do we got? So we got the mark. This is actually doing a bunch of range stuff. And you are going to blah 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 plus offset. So this goes in here. There is no else case on this one. And then right arrow, right slowest. And that was range bottom. So we have get child, bound mark. Yeah. I guess. And then you can go to X and X, do the offset. Now, I don't actually have visibility control on this yet. Difficulty arrows, wiggle arrows, stage arrows. Which then has to be called from main. Wiggle arrows on, wiggle arrows off. Current controls is wiggle. I guess I don't need the arrows on all of these. If current. But that's what I'm using to control my mark as well. Slowest speed. We actually want to do this as a more of a full copy. I don't think I actually need to give you a value. Okay. The number of arrows is excessive. I might want to rethink that at some point. What I'm doing is actually changing the visibility of the arrows on an item-by-item basis. If there, then there. Else we have to, we want to make the mark visible. And that makes that, okay, I guess I didn't remove it. I just copied it. What? PS upper bound, NPS mark. Oh. Right. True. So it's visible here, not visible any other time. Ooh, I am going to have to care about which line it's on when I do slowest and highest. Because either that needs to be at the song that's there or just a line overall on the chart. It's convenient to do here because I have all of my scaling factors here. Otherwise, I kind of have to reproduce that somewhere else. Hmm. Because this is going to be two settings that aren't currently represented as straight up lines. We would have to turn that an entirely new mark to do what is a straight up line. Or go back to the old overlay style, or we have to calculate those values from scratch. Oh, I maybe I don't want. So the awkward thing about trying to do the two things in one screen is there's no obvious interpretation of up and down here. I guess I could put up and down arrows on either side of the line, and well, fortunately this is a number, so up and down do have reasonable meanings. But yeah, I might have to do up and down arrows on either side of the line. But where is that line? Actually, it's two lines. And do I go back to overlay style? Well, if I go back to overlay style, I'm going to have to set the position pretty much specifically in every bump. We're going to have to go in and set, I guess I have to have like a left-right line and a up-down arrow line to represent both of those. And it's just going to have an X. We're going to need all of our transformation and scaling factors in the outer code. Or we're basically duplicating them. Could potentially use that first mark as the starting level because it's going to be usually pretty close to the starting level. Could put arrows just there. The upper end may only be near it. I guess it would only be near it as well. Well, I could set up changing the settings so you can at least do that, and then worry about visualizing it later. Define settings, I have not. Okay, iterations per stage. Do I actually have a iteration for this? Yeah, okay. So that's controls and overlay. For slowest speed. We should be able to get controls for fastest. So that set controls fastest speed. Actually, slowest speed is where we have existing code. Because how the controls work is not the hard part. We will need a bump. You will actually need all 4 arrows. Bump. Fastest speed. Starting. And then we need up and down. Bump, fastest speed. So menu up, we would think would be an increase. And menu down would be a decrease. Fastest speed. And it might actually be easier to do this one first. Slowest speed. Fastest speed. This might be one where we show both numbers. Bump speed. Okay, starting. So that, in theory, allows us to update the control. We just don't have any visualization of it. Slowest. In practice, I expect a larger range on this one, or range. Okay, that we're seeing a... Oh, 10 might be my max. Maybe that one should... Maybe the top end should be allowed to go a little bit higher, but... But I really need to... One of the things I need to look into was my my process for doing that. Okay, so we're not doing that. We're testing mixed mode selection. Still interested in that. Still interested in that. We need too many arrows when picking slowest. How to show parts of fastest. Too many settings. Separate start and mid score settings. Settings everywhere. I could do target speed. That would go from three settings to two settings. But you'd almost have to identify a range if the variable range is actually 4. So it's kind of messy. Wait. Oh yeah, that's my starting fastest. So 2. I was getting that confused by slowest. Where do you show? Where and how do you show the arrows? And we want to flip control of that curve as well. I don't know. This might be more of a thing to sleep on. I haven't been very good about sleeping on things lately. Usually end up thinking about something else. But I'm really torn on whether I want to do that in sewing item where I've already got all the scaling factors, or and I don't know a good method. Sort of export the scaling factors. You can put it in scripts, but then that stuff would require requires a full program reload. So I don't really know. The song list item, it like returns this actor frame. There's a single item, so all of the little scaling factors we've built up here are really only good for this fun file. The only way to share them that I know of would be put in base scripts. Can't really pass arguments to a file. Maybe if I didn't define them as local, I could still define them as global in... But I'm not sure you can define globals. Port script error. Okay. Might want to put it in a structure for sake of cleanliness, but we could have some central definition of all of this stuff. That might be relevant to drawing marks on top of here. And I might still pull them out into locals for ease of reference. So that would solve the number reuse. I still have to redevelop it, but like everything here is kind of a redevelopment. Are we setting any... Hit zoom, isn't it? Okay, no, I don't think we're scaling anything here. It might be, well, so maybe the song list item itself. Add child. This is song list, which does have a song list scale, which we might have to incorporate somehow. Alright, so I can set up some sort of central metrics. And then I think I may want to pull back the code for drawing bars on top of stuff. Because that would really make more sense for some of these. Well, technically my lower bound is also a curve. I'm just making it constant right now. But we only have a single setting for it, so that's kind of what you're stuck with. So assuming we're able to export scale, we then have to resurrect the code, get it to apply at scale. All right, we have a method that can work. I might set up for this and then kind of sleep on it. Let's see. Could share metrics via global. Bring back overlay lines. I'd still love to have a better model for picking that was easier to describe, but this is the best I've got now. Maybe that's a thought experiment thing. Well, that's too many settings, kind of. So the problem here is that don't want too many slow songs, so we have a slowest speed. Don't want fast songs early, so we've got our fastest speed curve. The other settings are let's see, we've got the issue with sometimes hitting same levels over and over again. So we've got the large scale, low, mid score. Well, with the large scale curve, this is in both score and NPS curves, which are kind of separate. So we don't want too hard in general, so we have low and mid score limits. It's a limit. We do want variation during session, which is the small scale curve, which is using some, or small scale, which is using wiggle setting and sort of implicit large scale curves, which aren't even settable. So it's just like a lot of constraints that make a lot of settings. I sort of had that, I had some of it picking a single curve, but that tended to get too slow. You could get fast-ish, that tended to push things down and hit into that too slow. Maybe if you just constrained the early songs and then had the lower limit. But we Don't want to exclude faster songs that we do well at. Which is why we're no longer just picking based on score. So we can bump fastest speed without an explicit visualization. NPS upper bound. Oops, it was supposed to be a... Just be a comment. So right now I just don't want to see it. Can set fastest speeds, no visuals. It's something. But that's kind of a nasty... Well, it's annoying to implement the overlay. Maybe if I develop the code to share metrics, I could have like some generic functions to calculate those coordinates for a given space. So like the notes per second display is pretty much you run a value through a coordinate function. The same might be true of scores. Functions for coordinate conversion, and maybe those functions could have better names. Or names that were long enough to be okay-ish at global. But anyway, I don't have a... That might be a decent direction. I don't have a clear vision for this right now. I think that doing the overlays is going to take a while. So I'm going to stop coding for a bit. Well, for the day. I'm going to come back and I'm going to play probably these songs. I don't know that I've felt any particular need for setting changes yet. We can actually change them now. I'm going to drop stream to change those settings. Otherwise, I'll be right back if anybody wants to hang around for dancing. Thanks for watching. Thanks to... Who was it? The Rapfather for the raid. I don't know if you're StepMania or coding. I'll have a look later. I'm normally doing coding in the morning, switching over to StepMania at some time. So we'll be back in a few minutes to actually pick up with StepMania. Bye.